Hey, y'all. How's life?
It's okay.
Thank you. Everybody's stressed out, huh? Because of test. It's almost over. Hang in there. I'm feeling the other side of the stress. Not you guys yet, though, right? I wonder why I am. Oh, I guess because I don't have to take finals. Right? Anybody have a happy story they want to tell? David's running late. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Somebody tell me a happy story. It's not that hard.
Mine isn't like super happy, but I just got this new job, and today at work, my boss got a hoverboard thing for her daughter. It got delivered to where I work because she didn't want it at her house, and it's like a hoverboard, and like you can sit on it, and there's like a front wheel, so you can like ride it around, but like while sitting, it's weird.
Oh,
It's like safer than just like riding it on your 2 feet.
yeah.
And she was riding it around the parking lot, and it was really funny, and I helped her put it together, so I started to feel like I was like acclimating to my new environment because I literally just started and I felt like awkward for the past like couple days, but now I feel better.
Good. That's quite a way to acclimate, right? Did you ride it?
No, I don't want to break it.
That's what
It's
I
like
was
a Christmas gift, so
brand new job. You break it. That would be fun.
I'd be fired.
No, you wouldn't. I'm surprised she wrote it.
Oh, I know, it was bold.
I don't think so. It must have been easier though than normal, right? Because because normal's not easy.
Yeah, it doesn't require balance or anything. You just sit and steer.
There you go. That's really fun. Anyone else want to tell me some awesome, wonderful things? I'm going to start playing music. Prepare yourself. Oh, I didn't do it yet. I can't pause it. Okay. Oh no, it's waiting. Okay. I can turn it down. But then I'm turning you down too, right? Any other good stories? No, I just want to get on with this studying thing and be done with it. You ready for Kahoot? Yeah. Say yes. Okay. All right. So we're going to play Kahoot. I'm going to figure out how to send you the link to it. Obviously, it's not exactly like the test, but it's pretty close. But there will be some differences, so don't depend on it being exactly the same, okay? Share your screen. Here we go. I'm not sure why there are so many. Oh, you can't see them. What the heck? Okay, can you see it? Did I put it in the right place? Yay me. I don't like that I can't see you guys when I share my screen. There we go. All right, so log in. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8.
I can't see the Kahoot screen. I can just see your computer screen.
Yeah. I also don't know where the code was sent.
Good. Thank you for telling me that. I probably shared the wrong one, knowing me. Now I have to figure out how to unshare. I would think by this point I would be better at this, right? Oh, because I'm not sharing. How weird. You can see my computer screen then? Okay, I got it. Let's try this again. You see it? Yes? hip when I'm texting instead of paying attention. Hold on a second. Okay. So I was counting. There's 19 of you with me at the moment, so that's how many people should sign in. David's still driving. David, are you still driving? He can't unmute, can he, if he's driving? Don't unmute. Just
No,
drive.
I'm trying to figure it out. Hold on. I'm pulling in.
Okay.
David, why?
You can wait until you get inside, dude. You don't have to do it with us. There's David. Dude, you're not driving, right?
No, I'm home. We're good.
Okay, okay. So there are 4 people not with us. Oh, there's one more. If you're not ready to go, give me your little thumbs up on your computer on Zoom. Okay, you ready? Let's see who has studied. Wait, Jacqueline, are you ready? Okay. Let's go. Sounds frightening. An example of an externalizing behavior problem is y'all are brilliant. Brilliant people. Love brilliant people. Who's fastest? Bree is the fastest person in the room. Here we go. The first law guaranteeing students with disabilities a free, appropriate public education was the first law. Where did my brilliant people go?
Green.
Green. My brilliant people went green. No, Public Law 94-142, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act. What is tripping y'all up with that one? The first special ed law. So it was the very first version. Remember in 75 was the Education for All Handicapped Children Act. And it became what? What's the name of the current law?
IDEIA.
Yeah, which stands for what?
Individualized Education Improvement Act.
Close. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act. I should have made you say it every week. Do not miss that, my brilliant children. Young adults, uh-oh. Patrick went from the bottom to the top. Check him out. He was also here Tuesday, right? Yeah. The IDEIA definition of emotional disturbance requires at least one of the characteristics to excellent. Persist over an extended period of time. Who got kicked off? That's so funny. Somebody's name went whoop.
Yeah, that was me.
Who was Nayland? That was you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. An example of an internalizing behavior problem is You're brilliant again. Internalizing. It's going on within the person, the child. It's not something you can physically see. Oh, he's hanging on. Come on, Bree. Be fast. You ready? What three-tiered framework of support focuses on changing behavior? Look at y'all. Positive behavior supports. Remember the triangle? On one side it has behavior, on one side it has academic. The behavior side is positive behavior supports. The academic side is called what? PBS is on one side. What's on the other side?
Response to intervention.
Thank you. Response to intervention. Study that triangle. You want to know about that triangle. He's hanging on. A student is sad and spends free time curled up on the bed looking out the window. These are symptoms of COVID-19. Excellent. Depression. Depression. Or COVID-19, right? Agree with me. Thank you. Within PBS, the first tier is, remember the triangle. What do we call the first tier? Good job. Primary prevention. And what percent of students respond to strategies at primary prevention? Emily? 80%, exactly. 80%. So it's what we teach, right? And every day in classrooms, there's nothing real fancy about tier one. It's just the curriculum that we teach from. And approximately 80% of all kids do just fine with typical instruction. Ooh, so close. Within response to intervention, the third tier, so the top of the triangle is called what? Excellent. It's called tertiary prevention, right? At the top is the tertiary prevention. So that's when we have students that moved from tier one when they got in tier two, which was group-based specific interventions. They didn't respond. Then they get to top tier, wow, I can't talk today, to tier three or the tertiary prevention area. Hopefully they'll respond, right? You need to know the percent of students that we expect to respond at each level. Tertiary is one-on-one. And it's growing wider. Functional behavioral assessment is completed too. Exactly. Determine the function of the behavior. And what are the two functions typically? One or the other. What are they?
To get attention or to gain something and to escape something.
To gain something, including attention, those go together. What's the other one? Oh, you said it. To escape something. Good job. So it's to gain something, which could be attention from a peer, attention from a peer, from peers, attention from adults, or to escape something, which is typically schoolwork. But sometimes it could be to escape an environment they're not comfortable in or other things, right? There's a third function that we don't talk about very often. Do you remember what it was? For children with autism, sometimes we say the function of the behavior is,
Is it self-soothing? Self-soothing?
sort of, but what's the something, what do they do to soothe? Sensory. So it's sensory. So sometimes they'll touch things, right, which is part of the self-soothing. Soothing. So it's sensory, attention, or sorry, sensory to gain something or to escape something. Those are the three functions of behavior. Ooh, must be getting easier, right? When given an assignment, Jason screams and the teacher sends him out of the room. The consequence is exactly being sent out of the classroom. What was the behavior in that scenario?
Screaming.
Say it louder.
Screaming.
Screaming. What was the antecedent?
The assignment.
The assignment, yeah. I told you I saw this recently in a school where I was observing. As soon as the teacher handed him a piece of paper, he threw it on the floor. He didn't scream, he just threw it on the floor. And the teacher got really frustrated. So what was the antecedent?
Throwing the paper.
Yeah.
Or getting the
Oh,
paper.
being handed the paper. Throwing the paper is the,
Behavior.
and the consequence was what?
The teacher getting upset.
The teacher got frustrated, right? So what do you think the function was? I should give you more information. When she got frustrated, she kneeled down beside him and started really talking.
Attention.
Attention, yeah. Even though the attention was negative, he managed to pull her into his circle, have her talking to him when she wasn't talking to anyone else, right? When Johnny is given a worksheet, he yells and he's sent out of the classroom. The antecedent is exactly being handed the worksheet. So we think of it as ABCs, right? Antecedent, behavior, consequence. Antecedent happens first, then the behavior, and then the consequence. When Susan is given a worksheet, she yells and is sent out of the classroom. The behavior is exactly. I wasn't feeling very creative when I made this Kahoot, huh? Everyone's throwing paper and getting sent out of the classroom. You should expect to see some different scenarios on the test. Not everybody's going to throw paper. When Randy's given a worksheet, he yells and he's sent out of the classroom. The function could be exactly. So it's not teacher attention because he got sent out of the classroom. So there was no attention, right? It was escaping the worksheet.
I have a question.
Yes.
So couldn't the function, what's determined by what the kid wants to happen or what actually happens? Because he could be wanting the teacher's attention and the teacher could just send him away anyway, right? So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. So the idea of doing an FBA is you're analyzing the student's behavior. So you're trying to determine what the function is. So if he really wanted the teacher's attention and she sent him out of the classroom, then that behavior would stop because it's not getting him what he wants. So
Thank you.
does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All behavior is I don't know the word, based on a function. So if you're in a relationship with someone and you notice that they continually do one thing that drives you crazy, then you should figure out what the function is and change your response. Does that make sense? Or if you have children, it's interesting to think about the function of your child's behavior. Make sense? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which term below is not appropriately synonymous with the other three? Wow. It means the same thing. So we don't like the word mental retardation, but remember that's what's still in IDEA. So mental retardation, intellectual disability, and cognitive disability are the same thing. I'm not sure what mental incompetence is. I hope I made that up. But it's not the same as the other three. Questions? Thoughts? Okay. President Obama signed which law removing the term mental retardation? Not from IDEA. We should use it. Rose's Law. Remember the video we watched?
Mm-hmm.
Give her a hand. Sorry, Patrick. we like to root for the underdog, right?
Down with Patrick.
I pushed the button, but it said I never hit anything.
Dude, you lost your lead because of technical difficulties.
Mhm. Sure.
It's okay, David. At least I'm not you.
I'm in 17th place. I'll have you now.
17 place. Okay. Hang on.
Dr. Harrison, is it okay if I join now? I'm sorry I'm late. I had a doctor's appointment, so.
Of course you can. Can we wait
Okay.
for you? Tell me when
Okay.
you're in. You ready?
Yeah, I'm in. Thank you.
You're welcome. The condition with an extra chromosome is good job, Down syndrome. I should take that one out because everyone knows it. I should go back over the slides and the ones that you guys all know, I should not include those. What do you think? The blank face. Smile. It's all about speed. The students' educational goals that focus on functional skills. Progress will be assessed through this stumped us Tuesday too. The people that got it were probably the ones that were with me on Tuesday. I don't think I taught this very well. So let's talk a little bit about a couple of things. So what are functional skills? Aaron.
They're like life skills. Like I think you described it on Tuesday as like being able to go to the grocery store and like shop for food and that sort of thing.
Exactly. So there are students that the most important thing we can teach them are functional skills that they're going to need when they leave school. Typically kids with cognitive impairment, sometimes kids with autism, but it's like learning to tie your shoes or learning to go to the grocery store or learning to ride on buses. Those are functional skills. And so the standardized tests that you guys all took at the end of your senior year, or you took it every year, but at your senior year is when it mattered the most, remember, whether you could graduate or not. So a very small percentage of students with disabilities don't have to take the same assessment that you guys took. They would take a, what do we call it? An alternate assessment that's actually developed by their teacher. And I said I was going to send you a video about functional curriculum, and I did not do that. So let's just do that. Yawning. No, you're not yawning. Okay. Why is this not working? Thank you. There's one that I usually like, I really like, but that's not what I want. I thought I showed you the video of this life skills teacher, but y'all keep telling me I didn't. This is the one I like. Maybe not. Nope. It's cool you can see me. Everything I'm doing. Let's just look at, no, let's don't just look at that one. Not study skills.
We want to help our customers this season by serving up dollars of savings so you can take home a lot.
Hi, this is Dr. Darren Adamson from Argosy University. Today we're going to talk about life skills teaching strategies. How to most effectively teach life skills to those who need to learn them. You need to choose the technique that best fits the particular life skill you want.
Okay, I can lecture. I want you to see someone teaching life skills. Like in high school. Let's see what that gets us.
Before we go, we got a lot of orders, by the way, guys. When we come back, we're also going to get a chance to do some deliveries, okay? Megan Hull, intensive skills classroom teacher at Grant High School. We're going to New Seasons, and we're going to pick up some lunch orders for teachers. Okay, what is it? Look, cross. So we're really good about going to the crosswalk. Once we have the walk signal, look both ways, then be able to go across. And I've had a lot of parents tell me that through our weekly practice, they've seen a difference at home. Nice, Shayla. Good, Patty. And then once we get there, we really kind of have a production line. I have students that are responsible to go turn in orders. I have students that are responsible to go get chips for teachers that order chips. Ordering chips. I have students that staple the orders to the bag so that we can stuff the sandwiches inside. So they're working on their reading skills and identifying matching letters. So there's a lot of skills that are happening. And then of course, once an order is completed, they go to the cash register and they get to practice the real money. And because we get all sorts of different types of money, you know, sometimes they might have a $20 bill to work with. Sometimes they might have 2 5s and a 1. Or they might have all ones, and knowing how to get correct change back.
A lot of these kids kind of are reclusive in themselves. They don't speak. So taking them out in the community, they're able to use their communication skills.
And then bringing back the orders, and the teachers are really happy to get them. Staff has been really supportive.
Hello.
Lunch delivery.
Thank you very much.
It's like
For teachers, we don't have time to get out of the building with a 33-minute lunch. And so now we get a fantastic sandwich brought right to us, and it's really fun. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Being independent is one of the most important things. And my students have that right to be independent. And it's my job to make sure that they get to be independent.
So that's what life skills are. So those students, instead of having a written exam, although they might, then they're tested on the skills that they learned. Those skills would be included in their IEP, right? What's an IEP?
Individualized education plan.
Individualized education plan. Questions about life skills or functional skills? No, we're good. All right, y'all just want me to go back to Kahoot.
I have one question.
Good.
Which ones do you think would be the most important life skills to teach?
Safety, depending on the child, out across the road, how to not touch hot things, depending on the level of the child, to dress themselves. Parents really appreciate it if you teach kids to dress themselves. Yeah, I always think about the student that I taught. I told you about the student I taught that had the buzzer, that he hit the buzzer and it made the pad where he lay vibrate. So I often wonder about the life skills that we were able to teach him. You know, I tried to teach him to feed himself. To me, that was the life skill that I wanted him to learn, because I didn't want to feed him every day. And it seemed like a thing he could do. I told you that story. I put it on a vibrating toothbrush and the food would vibrate off. That was my brilliant idea. Wasn't a good idea, but yeah, it's what that child needs to be able to do or can do independently and needs to be able to do independently. So I guess by teaching him to hit that red button, we taught him how to keep himself happy. It felt good and I liked it. The vibrating pad on his back. Yeah, it was sad, but I didn't think of it as sad. I have to think of it as really making a difference, right? Conversation before. You want to teach that the students with those kind of disabilities, right? With severe disabilities, life skills kind of people. Who's barking? It's not me. It's not me this time. Anybody want to teach children who need those kind of things, skills? Okay, maybe it's Lexi. That's who it was. Yeah. It takes a really special person. I taught life skills 1 year. I was so bored. I will tell you the truth. I'd been working with kids with behavior disorders and I went straight into kids with cognitive impairments. And I was like, yeah, life slowed down. But it needs to be done, right? It's very rewarding. Very rewarding. All right. Oh my gosh. What happened? Oh, well, first of all, Aaron has creeped up. Bree has gone down. All right, Aaron, catch him. You ready? Here we go. Reading the street sign and taking phone messages are examples of. Functional curriculum, what we just taught. It's funny, what I just talked to you about. Functional, life skills, they all go hand in hand. So reading street signs, taking phone messages, those things are life skills. A student matches chemical elements to symbols instead of diagramming molecular structure. What is that? Hold on, guys. Are you good? So it's a modification. Good job. I'm proud of you. Remember that modifications decrease the standards we're teaching. Accommodations remove a barrier or level the playing field, but they don't decrease the standards we're teaching, right? So you guys knew that one. Good job. Health problem that results in limited strength, vitality, and alertness, which impacts learning. Exactly. What word is missing from that? What word is missing from that?
Impairment.
What's the disability category in the law? It's close. Other health impaired. So for some, oh, Bree, you're right. It is impairment. Sorry. But I was thinking other, but you're right. Other health impairment, OHI. The other thing that I didn't tell you is that you need to know the 13 disability categories in IDIA in the federal definition, because it's likely that you may have to write those out. Not from a piece of paper that you have laying beside you. That's so funny. Usually I have you guys in front of me, right? So I can watch you. Don't cheat. I don't like cheating. Dude, you went down. Such enthusiasm. Like, mm-hmm. So Bree and Aaron, what happens now? A condition of recurrent convulsions or seizures. Epilepsy. See, that's one of those I should lose. It's too easy. No, I don't. Hereditary disorder that causes distortion of red blood cells. Sickle cell anemia. You are right. It's very painful. Helps with fine motor difficulties such as using scissors and holding a pencil. Occupational therapist, good job. Physical therapist works with what? Or works on what?
Is it more gross motor?
More gross motor, large muscle kind of things. I should have remembered that. Good job. Physical therapist. If a student cannot understand sounds or words even with hearing aids, he is. Deaf, exactly. What's the difference between the two different words? Aaron.
The capital D is more for like the culture, like the deaf culture.
Yeah. So the capital D refers to the deaf culture. The lowercase d refers to being deaf.
Is there a difference there between being legally deaf and not, or is it just the cultural?
Not with the capital letter. So the cultural, the reason we use a capital letter is because of the culture. Is there a difference in being legally deaf? It's an interesting question. as far as IDEIA goes, it's based on the category of deafness and exactly, the criteria. So in IDEA, it lists it out, and I don't remember what those things are. And I don't know if it's, I'm not Googling. I don't know if there's a difference between being legally deaf and fitting under the category of IDEA in the category of deafness. I suspect there is, just like we know with being legally blind and blindness and or visual impairment under IDEA, there's a difference, right? So as far as special ed goes, it's based on the IDEA criteria. That was a round the block way to say that, right? Make sense, David?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Sort of. Many parents of students who are deaf believe gen ed settings are blank restrictive than blank. So parents of students who are deaf believe that general ed settings are more restrictive than residential schools, which seems really crazy, right? Because a residential school would be where you would send your child away to live. And so they live there and they go to school there. Why do you think some parents would believe that being in a neighborhood school would be more restrictive than being in a residential school?
Because those schools are equipped for those types of students, and like that's what they're there for, as opposed to like a normal gen ed school.
Right, that's one thing. What else? What would make it restrictive, Lexi?
At the residential schools, they're around other deaf or hard of hearing student or hearing impaired students, whereas gen ed, they're not, so they can't communicate as easily.
Has a lot to do with communication, and yeah, so it's restrictive because they don't understand, right, each other. Teachers. Becoming deaf after learning language is postlingually deaf. That's correct. After language. She's hanging on. They're hanging on. How well individuals can use their sight is described as so the answer is visual acuity, but I've decided to take these questions off of the test about those words specifically, because it's not clear the difference between visual acuity, visual effectiveness. So it's something to know, but not something you necessarily need to know for this exam. Blindness means not being able to see anything. So some people can see things, but I'm trying to figure out how to say that. So if I can see shadows or shapes and that's all I can see, then I'm blind. I mean, I'm not blind. Okay, shall we back up and say this again? People who are blind can't see anything, period. Got it? Okay. Did I confuse you totally? That was kind of fun. It's all being recorded. Ooh, Emily's stepping up. The ability to travel safely and efficiently from one place to another is mobility, right? Orientation is having an understanding or learning to have an understanding of where you are in space, in time. So if you're in a classroom, where's the garbage can? Where is your seat? That's why we don't move things around. Whereas mobility is, how do I move from one place to another? The majority of students with visual disabilities read using standard print. Remember we talked about that? Yeah. Not Braille. People who are blind use Braille. What is the key component of collaboration? So funny. Good job, you guys. I don't think we even talked about this very much, or did you read about it? Probably not. This is common sense. But when you get out there teaching, and if you're a special ed teacher or if you're a gen ed teacher working with a special ed teacher, and you have to work together hand in hand, you have to know how to collaborate. You have to know how to talk to each other, or else things sort of fall apart. Take a good guess. Don't worry about those. They're as clear as mud. Uh-oh, people are moving around. People who are blind might need independent life skills. So what do you think about that? A minute ago, I said that some students that need functional curriculum skills or life skills take an alternative assessment, right? So we actually test them on the life skills and not on reading and writing and those kinds of things. What do you think about a person who is blind and has no other impairments? Do you think they take the same test as everyone else, just modified so they can read it? Or do you think they take a functional skills test, knowing that they need independent life skills?
I think they would take the same test as everyone else just so they could read it.
Exactly. Yeah. The functional people that take alternative exams are typically people that haven't mastered. And we've decided as a team that the skills such as reading and writing are not at the top of our priority for that student. Makes sense? So kids with cognitive impairment are
there ever situations where a student would take both the regular exams as well as alternative exams?
Say it again.
Is there ever an instance where a student would take both the regular general education exams as well as other alternative things?
Yeah, so no. Remember that we're talking about standardized tests here, like the high stakes test, whether you graduate or not. However, students with IEPs that have both functional skills and academic skills will be tested all year long. Because
gotcha. Okay.
Right, every 6 weeks we report on IEP progress. So if one of your IEP goals is to learn mobility skills, for example, then we would assess them on those skills to report on their IEP progress. Make sense?
Yeah.
I'm the only one shaking my head. Yes, it makes sense. A group of disorders which share characteristics and behaviors previously described as autism are autism spectrum disorders, right? So Asperger's is one of those skills that falls under that umbrella of autism spectrum disorders. Breeze back at the top. What is not a typical trait of a child with autism? Academic deficit. So remember that the autism spectrum is broad, and the levels of supports that students with autism need ranges from a whole lot to not very many. So it's not true that all children with autism have academic deficits. That's where I was going with that. Hand flapping, which is a horrible phrase, is nonverbal communication. That's good. So typically students with autism, we call it stereotypies or repetitive behavior. Remember, one of the criteria for having autism is repetitive behaviors. So how many of you have seen children with autism, what we used to call stimming, where they kind of move their hands like this? Right? Most of you? Yeah. So we call that stimming, and I don't like to do it. But it's also called a stereotypy. So just for the reference. What is echolalia?
It's when the person says or repeats the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. And typically they repeat what you say, right? So if I said, "Hi, David, how are you?" Then they would reply, "Hi, David, how are you?" It makes you smile. But yeah, so that's what echolalia is. Or they can say it over and over like truck, 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 truck. It's interesting that you guys pick nonverbal communication, because that would be it would be something you would put together, right? Because it's like they're trying to get your attention, they're trying to communicate maybe with you, but it's that repetitive behavior that we consider stereotyping.
For my interview project, the mom told me that her son, he's like linked to having like signs of echolalia, because he loves to mimic and copy like what other people say and do, but he doesn't have the awareness to like know like when they're getting upset or they don't want to be copied, but he'll just continue to talk and mimic.
That's interesting. So his peers probably get upset, right?
Yeah.
So it sort of looks like making fun of each other. Yeah, that's interesting. Did she say what they were doing about it at school?
She said that it's not more that it's like in a classroom, it's kind of just in a social setting. Like if he like sees, like he'll mimic for entertainment purposes. Like he'll mimic to like see like if like people will like respond, or how if like they'll react positively or not. But most of the time his friends that he does interact with get upset, but he doesn't realize it.
That's interesting. So when we think about the function of behavior, right? So if I said, "Hi, David, how are you?" and you said back to me, "Hi, David, how are you?" I would smile, right? So that behavior has been reinforced, I bet, so that people have taught him that it's cute or funny or whatever. But he doesn't recognize, which is typical of children with autism, they don't recognize the emotions of other people. So yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Written pictorial directions to help with a child with autism is. Yeah, I would have said picture exchange communication system too. That question's confusing. I think the activity schedule is based on the words pictorial directions, because PECS, which is where we use pictures for children with autism to communicate, or children who are nonverbal to communicate, is more than directions, right? Because it's a communication system. But that's worded wrong. Needs to be fixed. I'll remember that next year when I'm doing this again. And I say, you know, last semester I told them that needed to be fixed. Ooh. A computerized device with a touch screen and a synthesizer that allows students to communicate is. AAC. Good job. Ooh, Jasmine has a streak of 19 correct answers. Good job. When teaching students with sickle cell anemia, the teacher should not. Refuse to provide accommodations. Tuesday, people picked avoid, calling undue attention to the child. Also, watch the double negatives, right? Should not avoid. You got to watch the wording. Job, Jasmine. An intervention, don't miss this, is a change to practices in schools that reduces expectations or teaches skills. I told you these are my definitions. So an intervention is used to teach skills, remember? So if we have, if I teach a child to manage time, I'm intervening because they can learn to manage time and do that without me. If I tell them they don't have to manage time and I reduce the expectation for them to manage time, that is an if I remove the expectation, I gave them extended time. You don't have to manage your time. Is that an intervention, accommodation, or modification?
That'd be an accommodation.
Thank you. That's an accommodation. I think it's funny. These things are so important to me that you understand, because this is where my line of research goes, right? So I want to teach. I want to make sure that we know which interventions teach kids the skills they need. And I think we should teach skills before we accommodate. So I think we should try to teach students to manage time before we say they don't have to manage time. But when you're out there in the world, they use the terms interchangeably. In fact, on IEPs, they typically have the word modification. So you have a modification page, and they include modifications, accommodations, interventions. But just so that you have in the back of your mind when you're teaching, that you want to teach skills whenever possible, so that kids can be independent without us, right? Okay. And accommodation is designed to good job. So it levels the playing field. because we do something for the child with a disability that would not help a child without a disability. So, for example, if I Braille, if I gave, no, maybe that's not a good example, but or an elevator or Braille. Let's go with Braille. So if I gave a student a text in Braille, 2 students, one's blind and one is not, is it going to help the not blind student to have the text in Braille? No. So their scores would become equal if the student that was blind had text in Braille and the student that didn't had typically regular print. Makes sense? So their scores would become similar, assuming they have the same knowledge. Exactly. A modification reduces a standard. So you're in a 4th grade classroom, but you only read on the 1st grade level. And so I'm going to give you a test on the 1st grade level. You're in the 5th grade and you're learning long division, but you haven't mastered addition. I'm going to only require you to learn how to add. We lowered the standard. Special education is a Good job. Special ed is not a classroom. Special ed is specially designed instruction. It can be delivered in any environment, assuming that it is the best place for the student to learn, master their IEP goals, right? Okay. Let's say next. This is so funny. If we were in a classroom, I'd make you stand up, but since we're not in a classroom, please wave if your name is Emily, or Bree, or Aaron. Yay! Good job. Okay, this is how this is going to work. We're going to do this together. We're going to go back. That's going to blow everything up. Personalized learning. What do I want to do? I want classic? No, I don't want classic. We just did classic. Oh, that's interesting. I don't want you to just be able to practice the difficult questions. I need you to be able to play without me. Lobby music. I told it Christmas. That was not Christmas music. Once again, that's not it. Okay, I'm confused. I've done this so many times. Why would I be confused? This is why I don't do these things in front of you, right? It's going to be easier though. I can give you a code. didn't help me. Share, that's what I'm gonna do, right? Here we go. This is the link you need. So it's in the chat. Click on it and see if it works. Please.
Is there anything more we're supposed to see than just the questions and the answers, or is that?
Is that what you see? Can you play the game?
No,
No?
I don't see a function to do that.
Okay, so you can, but it's not set to like individualized mode. Like it's still set
Oh,
to
yeah.
class mode.
Yeah, I just found it.
Okay, that's weird. So if you play the game, it looks like you're playing with a class?
Yeah, it prompted me to say like waiting for players.
Okay. How do I do this? I don't know how else to do it.
Patrick wants to run it back. He didn't get first.
Patrick has been up for 18 hours, had 3 exams today, and has
I
not.
feel you, Patrick. Same.
Oh, dude, you did good then. But
Patrick wants to go to sleep and then sleep for about 6 days.
I'm sorry. How many more exams do you have?
Today, none.
I have 2 left.
Jake has 2 left. Okay, I don't know how to fix this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see what happens if I do it. Yep, you're right. So I basically just gave you access to what I do. Wait, what if I do assign a challenge game? How does that work? Here we go. You can't see what I'm doing. I'm saying here we go, and you don't know what I'm doing. Hold on. Invite more players. Copy URL. Okay, try this. Did that work? Is it not working? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that looked like that worked because when I submitted the answer, it was automatic.
Okay, so I'm going to send that out to your class right now. And then we need to talk a little bit about the test, and then we're gonna let Patrick go to bed. What is this called? Kahoot.
Yeah, that second link works for me. I don't know if we're supposed to be playing it right now or not, though.
It doesn't matter. I think you can play it more than once, right? I think you can use it all you want.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Oh, I just wanted to make sure it worked before I send it out. Okay. So now you have Kahoot to study from. You know that you need to know the 13 disability categories. You know that it's all going to be on your honor. When I went to A&M, they made us sign a thing that said something about the Aggie Code of Honor or something. That was for take-home tests. We didn't have online things. Other questions that you guys have? I'm going to open it the 12th, which is Saturday, right? It's going to be open through the 18th at midnight. You'll have 2 hours to take the exam. Don't cheat. I want to know what I've taught you, what you've learned, what you didn't learn, what I need to do different, etc. It will look similar to Kahoot, but not completely the same. The questions are going to be reworded. And you may have to apply more knowledge than what we did in the Kahoot. Know the triangle.
How many questions are on it?
50 plus one short answer.
Okay.
And then is there also the extra credit on it?
I can, if you want me to. You want me to do that? I haven't added extra credit, but I can. Yeah. Other questions? Anything else you want to talk about special ed before I never see you again? I hate the end of classes. I know, it's so funny because I like to teach. I hate for you guys to go away. I'll see you again. If you're going to teach, I'm going to see you at graduation or in other classes, right? Because I'm going to come to the whole orchestra thing. As soon as there's an orchestra thing for me to come to in life, you guys got to tell me. For real. I've never done that, and I would like to see you. You need to fill out that silly survey. Are y'all still getting like tens of thousands of emails like that tell you to do this? It still happens. I haven't heard anything. And it still happens after you do the survey?
Yes.
They haven't figured out how to fix that yet. Okay.
I kind of want to block Rutgers. I'm almost there.
Say again, David.
I almost want to block Rutgers. I'm like mostly there.
But do my survey before you block. I don't know. That's a silly thing that they can't figure that out, right? Because other systems that send reminders don't send reminders once you've completed the survey.
Professor, have the school or anyone in the GSE talked about plans for the fall, how it's going to look?
You know, not really, but we did get we got an email to start talking about it. It's kind of like we got the university's thoughts. So then as a GSE, we have to talk about it. And don't quote me. I should turn the recording on. It looks like we're still going to be online. A majority, not everyone.
I had a professor today. He said 50-50.
Yeah. That's probably good. It surprised me. I thought it was going to talk about how we're going to reopen, right? Because I'm ready to do that. It's time to go back. Aren't you guys ready to go back in person? Just finished my clinical hours for the GSE, and it was just 35 hours of videos to watch. Who is that talking to me? Abby. That was phase 1, right?
Yeah, it's for phase 1. It was just like videos and questions to answer.
Yep. So which program are you in?
I'm in the elementary ed with middle school as well.
Good. Yeah.
Oh my.
Again?
Me too.
You too?
Mm-hmm.
We're in the same cohort.
I need to step up and get special ed certification before you leave.
And I'm doing that too.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Right, you're doing that too?
I am.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. You need that. So how were the videos?
Terrible.
They're literally horrible.
So boring.
So you need to fill that out, not on my survey, but you need to let us know that, because we had to pick the videos, but they gave us this program to pick them from, and we just picked based on what it said about them. So I haven't watched them, but sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, the YouTube videos were just like long, and then the Atlas things are just tedious. It just takes a lot of time. It's like, it's whatever, but I prefer to be in person, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just writing like 2 sentences on random stuff throughout the videos and trying to connect to them. But if we were in person, I feel like it'd be so different.
So different. You would have been in a classroom. That makes me sad. At least you're not doing your student teaching. I'm having some people that are not, yeah, that are struggling. It's been a mess.
You know, I mean, as the reality is, there's not even, the vaccine probably isn't even safe for children like that are like 13 and under. So like you begs to see like how much they'll actually still be stuck at home, because they probably have the worst end of it.
That's interesting. I did not know that. You
Yeah.
guys gonna take the vaccine when they say we can?
I'm down.
I'm getting yes and no. I think I am. Just I'm ready to be out in the world. Lexi, you're gonna take it?
I'm taking it, and my mom's actually part of the clinical trials because she's a Rutgers employee. So they like J&J offered it to those who wanted to be part of it.
That's awesome. How is she?
She's good. It's technically a 2-year trial, so she has 2 shots this year and 1 shot next year, and she just went for her first shot last week.
I should have done that. That would have been smart. Yeah. Because I'm still going into a school doing consulting because I am. And it's a little scary.
Professor, what other classes do you teach?
I teach inclusive teaching, and during the summer I teach emotional and behavioral disorders. Good class, you should take that. Classroom organization, you will take that from someone if you're going to the GSE. I teach school mental health in the spring. I don't think that's in the 5-year program, but it's one of my favorite classes to teach. It's based, I teach it from a book that I was a co-editor on, so it's obviously a passion, right? So it's fun. I like to teach EBD too, so take that, emotional and behavioral disorders.
Okay, I might. If you see me, then you know.
Come join us. Yeah, that would be cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question: do you know by chance if Rutgers is famous for not accepting transferred hours? Because I have somewhat like I think 75 already in observation, and it didn't give me the credit for it.
What?
That happened to me too.
I was like, no, I've already done this.
It happened to a couple people who were like post back. All of their hours didn't count, and they had to do all the GSE hours.
Nice.
Your observation hours?
Yeah. I took it when I took my regular intro to ed, but that was before, I don't know if all schools transfer this, but when I took intro to ed, it was one class. So there wasn't like the clinical class as well as the seminar version. Everything was together, and we just did our clinical work when we had, I guess it was like our off time technically, but we still had to file the hours. But I think now they want it separately.
I don't know the answer to that. I was trying to remember. I have a chart somewhere that has the hours you have to have in phase 1.
Right.
But I don't remember. And I don't know if they transferred. I mean, we had big discussions 3 or 4 years ago about how all that was going to look when we changed things. So yeah, I don't know. The more time you have, the better. If you weren't watching videos. Yeah, so that's an interesting thought. So next semester you guys will be in phase 2, right?
Yeah, I think so. They didn't really tell us what is going to happen yet, though.
I haven't even heard a conversation. I have a teacher ed meeting tomorrow afternoon, so I may find something out, but we haven't even talked about that. And it never dawned on me that, I don't know, I've been struggling with phase 3 students so much that I haven't even thought about phase 1 and 2. Wow. I guess at phase 2, you guys are going to be, I don't know. It's crazy. Phase 3, we let Sabrina what?
Sorry, my dad just yelled dinner's ready.
Good for him. It's time to eat. At phase 3, they're going into schools when they can. So I don't know what'll happen at phase 2. That'll be interesting. Other questions? What do you think about mental health? Kids' mental health, your mental health after all of this? Jake's shaking his head. We don't want to talk about it.
Like an all-time
It's
low.
so bad. Like, I'm sorry if you're just talking, but I've been ignoring my psychiatrist.
Just ignoring.
I just don't have like the mental capacity to even discuss anything. I have no thoughts at all on it.
You should reach out. Reach out. I know. It's odd. I think we should all write like autobiographies of how it was. Make a book or something. Because we're going to make history, you know that. We're going to be in the history books. I do worry though about kids coming back, about what it's like, what's happening at home. I just can't imagine. So it's dinner time at somebody's house. Other thoughts, questions you want to talk about? No? Oh. All right, well, keep in touch. I will see you. Let me know if you need anything. Let's all go eat dinner. Enjoy life. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.